I'm Molly.
And I'm Jamie, and this is our From the Pasture with Hired Hand podcast. As the owners of Hired Hand website software, we've been developing websites and creating internet marketing strategies for livestock breeders for the past 10 years.
The majority of our customers are involved in the breeding of registered animals, such as Texas Longhorns, Highland cattle, horses, and white-tailed deer, where the pedigrees are very important. The From the Pasture with Hired Hand podcast examines many of the differences in raising pedigreed livestock for maximum profit. Join us and learn what we're covering today.
So today we have two people joining us that met in the spring of 2013. How their friendship started is that one of them bought a cow for $2,000 and then traded that cow back to the other, who turned around and sold her for $21,000. They say if that's not what friends are for, then who knows? Both of their families have been involved in cattle for many generations.
Their grandfathers are arguably the main influence in their lives, and they both love hunting. Should we bring them in?
Let's do it.
So welcome, Barry and Chase. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
So can you tell us the date and location for your sale?
We're April 16th and 17th back in Culpeper, Virginia, at the Culpeper Ag Enterprise. Really, really cool sale facility. A lot of cool stuff to do in Culpeper, so we're excited to be back.
Nice. And the sales schedule this year?
We have the futurity on Friday. It's going to be Friday at noon. Following the futurity, we have like 120 entries in there. Following the futurity, 6 p.m. will be the party at Ann's house. And then Saturday at 11 a.m. is when the sale kicks off.
11 a.m. Central Time. Eastern Time, correct?
Right. Yes, yep. Yes. So that's 10 o'clock Central for those who will be online.
And the sale host this year, it's changed a little bit from previous years.
Yes. Yeah, this is actually the second cherry blossom we'll be having under the Longhorn Legacy Group. Last year we did it in June due to COVID. We had to move a few dates around. So we're back on the original cherry blossom weekend. I think, what is this, Bear, like 20-something years in a row?
Man, so it's changed names over the times. When the TLMA took it over, they named it the Cherry Blossom Sale. And that was like 2006. Prior to that, it was the Gravett Babington Sale. But there's actually a gap in between the Cherry Blossom and the Gravett Babington Sale. They took a year or two off from having Longhorn auctions on the East Coast. And it was kind of like, I guess during that time, obviously sales are a lot of work. The sale wasn't getting the quality animals, I guess, that they wanted to. And, with what they figured was, people were heading out west to consign to, bigger, better sales in their mind. So they just kind of closed up shop. And I think the East Coast market kind of panicked a little bit, realizing what they had in their backyard and not really supporting it. So it kind of came back with a vengeance when the TLMA took it over in 2000. I think it was like 2006, 2007. But then prior to that, it was the Gravett Babington Sale. And then prior to that, it was the Gravett Babington Leonard Sale. So that was with Paul Babington, the late Paul Babington, the late Tyson Leonard. And their first sale was in 1991 in Harrisonburg, Virginia. So it's been going, 30 years?
Yeah, but so, this will be, I guess fourth or fifth group under it. But the Longhorn Legacy Group, who we do the Legacy Sale, the Cherry Blossom, and the Midwest Sale. But they're excited to have it and host it again.
So who makes up the Longhorn Legacy Group?
The Longhorn Legacy Group is Lane Craft, Ann Gravett, Bear Davidson, Mike Casey, and Debbie Bowman. Great group of people. And their motto is they just want to have fun at sales and promote these cattle. So really, really fun group to work for. And they've got a lot of big plans in the future, and they're just an awesome, fun group.
And so with this being the second year that the group has hosted the sale, why don't you tell us a little bit about each of the roles that you play in preparing and on sale day, and just how it all works?
Yeah. Well, this being, on the East Coast, the Saleborn is, I think, about 20 minutes from G&G where Bear and Ann are. So they're kind of our boots on the ground until I get up there. Ann obviously hosts the party and help organizes all that. Bear's working on the futurity and coordinating with animals and helping with the cataloging consignments there with the connections he has. Mike and Ann and Debbie, they support the sale through consigning, purchasing, and trying to get them all up there. But it's a little tough with travel and being so close to Easter. But and then myself, I help with the day-to-day stuff at the sale. Actually now on my way up through Kentucky to the sale hauling cattle, and it's just a big group effort, and I think it produces successful and fun sales.
So how many years have you had a futurity with the sale?
We started doing it in, I think it was actually, let me see, as we're working on that stuff now.
About 4 years ago.
Yeah, it was even, I think it was like 2016 is when we started. So this will be the 5th year. And 2016. So, the Millennium Futurity was started in the same sale barn. And in 2011, we started doing kind of a fall futurity. We just called it the BG Futurity. And it just grew from there. I think like the first time we had like 15 cows or something like that, and just something to do kind of on a fall roundup, kind of a social thing we had going on. And that grew into the East Coast Classic sale in September. But we just see a lot of value in having futurities that can be in conjunction with sales. Number one, people are coming anyway. So for folks who aren't coming or who don't have cattle consigned, it's something to participate in as well and promote their programs. Gets more trailers there, gets more butts in the seats. And, going back to what Chase said about the Longhorn Legacy Group, with everybody wanting to have fun, the more people that are there and the more people that can experience it, the more fun we're going to have. So, Friday night, we're still making plans for trying to figure out the dinner stuff and preparing for 150 people there Friday night at Ann's house. And this is something they've been doing, for 30 years. And we actually used to do the sale party on Saturday night after the sale. And I guess it was when the TLMA took it over in the mid-2000s that they moved it to Friday night. But we'll have a good Friday night. We'll present the Futurity Awards there. We'll give out probably around 25,000. It's consistently 25,000 every year, which kind of trying to figure out how to get over that hump. I'd like to get to 50. So, but we're still trying to figure out those numbers and make that work. This is the 5th year.
Nice. So looking back again over the previous years, what are the most consignments you've ever had in one sale?
Oh Lord, we've been up in the 90s before at the Cherry Blossom, and I think with the shift that we've seen, there's just not a lot of sales that can support the 100 lot sales anymore. It makes it a little tougher on the consigners. So I think we've seen as many as close to 100 and as few as 50.
I think we had like 107 one year.
Yeah, and that's a long sale, and so it's really as much as the East Coast market can bear and the sale barn can bear is what we do. And we find that magic number is between 60 and 80 lots.
Nice. And the highest selling cow you've ever had at a sale?
We've had a few 20,000s. We had, I think 1 year, was it 42,000 Bear was the high seller.
Who was that? I can't even remember, to be honest with you.
I know we've had last year we had a few 20,000s, and that Lioness cow that Dave Hoving brought in, she was in the upper 30s, I believe.
That was in the East Coast Classic, though. See, they're all blending together. There's been some historic cows that have come through here, like, Betty Lamb's Lamb Showtime cow. I know we did, that was back in like 2003. and she sold for 13,000, which at then was unheard of for a cow to kind of bring over 10 grand. That's when the TLBA really started doing their cash cow numbers and recognizing cows that sold over 10,000. Last year, Jim Atwell put in a 50-50 daughter that brought 20 grand. So we get a good conglomerate of consigners, you know, people all the way from New England down to Florida, you know, Texas cattle, Michigan cattle, Wisconsin cattle. So it covers a large portion of the United States. And it's just fun, you know, it's a testament to the culture of the people here on the East Coast. I mean, we don't have a lot of Longhorn events, so everybody comes to like the few that we have. And from hours and days away. There's not a lot of politics. There's never been a lot of politics. I know right now, like politics are very few and far between in a Longhorn breed, but there's not a lot of politics. Never really has been on the East Coast, just because we're so spread out, and we're just excited to see each other. So it's kind of like the old days. I say that. I mean, there's not a lot of people that remember the old days, but Molly, you may, as a kid, like everybody went to the cow sale. You know, and there was just a few of them a year. So East Coast is kind of that same concept. Like everybody just comes to them and wants to promote and market their cows.
Love what you're hearing? Be sure to check out our Pickup Truck Confessions. It's a video series where we hop in the truck or a rental car and interview a variety of breeders about what drives their passion for their livestock, how they got started in the breed of their choice, marketing tips, and more. And now back to the podcast.
So looking back again over the years that the sales that you've hosted, whether this sale or the East Coast sale, can you tell us one of the funniest moments that you remember during a sale?
Ooh.
That's like in the eye of the beholder, isn't it? Like we've had cows. I mean, it's not funny, right? Like everybody survives, but we had people get hooked in, like, you know, in bad spots, and you know, that's kind of funny in hindsight. You know, we had, man, people, it's not funny, but like a few years ago, Sam Pecano got hurt, and we just kind of gave him a hard time because as everybody knows Sam, he was a cocky little kid, very confident of himself, and he kind of jumped over a gate. He would call himself the cattle master, right? And he kind of jumped over a gate and fell on his hip and was kind of limping around, and we were teasing him for, you know, not rolling like you're supposed to and all that. And turns out he had a broken hip. Like he hung out for a couple days, and the pain was pretty intolerable for him, which is unheard of for him. In hindsight, everything was good. He's okay. We had a working crew not show up, like guys that run the back of the working crew, like get their dates mixed up and like not have a working crew. Like that's always a fun time. Last year when Chase got pied, that was pretty good.
I still have coconut in my ear.
Yeah.
So Tyson was always at that.
I mean,
he always brings energy.
Yeah, and we would, like, Tyson would get into betting. Like, so we would do, we had Jack Russell Terrier races one year, and we Calcutta the Jack Russell Terriers racing, and we just basically, it was like a line of straw or hay bales lined up and a bicycle wheel with a foxtail on it and a string, and like the guy pedaled the wheel really fast, and the foxtail like zipped down this little alleyway, and they let these little Jack Russells out and they'd run. At the time, Ben had a Jack Russell named Dot Dot, and so Jim Curry and my dad were running at Calcutta, and knowing Ben, if you knew Ben, like that was his dog, he was proud of her, and he paid like an ungodly amount of money for Dot Dot into Calcutta. Well, when they let the gate open for the Jack Russells to chase a tail, like Dot Dot didn't know what was going on. She came out like prancing around and hopping around, and obviously was dead last, but Ben wasn't going to let anybody else own his dog in the Calcutta. Yeah, there's just a lot of old stuff like that. You know, we would do the gambling on who was the highest seller in the sale, and we'd take $5 bets. We did one on Lamb Showtime. What was that? I mentioned her, 2003. And it was a $5 bet, and the winner walked away with like $500 bucks. We did that on a cow. I want to say it was like 2012 SH Sundance Bunny, and I had the numbers in my pocket, and Ben she sold for like 12.5 or something. Ben thought he had 12.5, so he bid her up to that number to buy her at 12.5 to win a few $100. And he didn't. His number was like 9 something, but he thought he was at 12.5, so he paid that money to try to win $500. And turns out that the person who won was a friend of my sister's who came down, who's never been to a cow sale before and just guessed a random number, like had no idea what they were doing. There's just been stuff like that people come up with. Sean one year had an idea with like a pink sweater. We raised 10 grand to try to get me and Sean to wear a pink sweater. So it's always been a fun crowd. Like, people having a good time hanging out. Everybody hangs out at the sale barn. Everybody goes out to dinner afterwards. It's just a good group of people. So
one of the things I've enjoyed at the sales I've been at are some of the things that you do for the kids in the audience or the kids that are in attendance. Do you guys want to talk a little bit about maybe 1 or 2 of those that are memorable?
Gosh, there was one year, I think it was 3 years ago, and it was just, dumping rain. And, all the parents are inside the sale barn. We're all talking, having fun. And finally somebody's like, where are the kids? Well, they found this little wagon and we're pushing each other down this hill.
Wagon.
These kids come in, wringing wet, covered in mud. And so kind of the rule there with the kids is as long as they don't get out on the highway, it's good. But you'll have, a 7-year-old little ringleader running around with all these toddlers, and they're climbing gates, having fun. And, that's always a blast.
There's like 1 million when we're done. So we clean up Saturday afterwards, Sunday after sale. There's like 1 million half-drank sodas. So as you guys with kids know, like they like to crack one open, like blow the froth off the top of it, take a sip and put it down and leave it. That's one of the things Ann's always promoted. When her kids were little, they all came to the sales. Everybody brought their kids, just kind of cut them loose. Mickey Wood used to do his Wildwood sale, his celebration, I think they called it, where Miranda Lambert, she was like 16 at the time, would sing, and then she would then have to babysit the kids after she was done singing because they needed a babysitter because everybody was hanging out and having a good time. There's like they just get into a bunch of mischief, and I shouldn't say that, and it's not in a bad way. Chase brought up, that one time, we were sitting in the auction block doing the fraternity, and the way the sale ring is set up is there's a kind of a barn door or a garage door in the back of it there that you're looking at from the auction block, and it looked like a cartoon. There was a bunch of kids piled in Nancy Dunn's hay wagon, and just there's a slight grade in the driveway in the parking lot, and they're just come cruising through this opening, kids hanging off and everything like that. And I'm just hoping they don't hit Terry King's new F450, F350 that he bought King Ranch, because somebody's getting their butts whooped. But yeah, Augie Wolf comes walking into the sale barn just like he just got out of shower, just water running off of him. And, Angie's trying not to yell at him in front of everybody, but like, what are you doing, Augie? And like, of course, David, Augie's dad, is just kind of laughing at the situation. Like, what's he going to do? And that kind of developed into the weaning pen. We do that for the East Coast as we got a little bit more time for it, but where we just kind of give the kids their own section, have, like a snow cone maker and stuff for them too. But it's important to Ann, especially for the culture on the East Coast, to be a family environment. And, if a husband doesn't want to go to the cow sale because he's got something going on, like the wife will be like, well, we're going anyway because we want to go and see our friends, and the kids want to go too. So it's kind of trying to bring back the old school times where, the group of women would get together and go out and leave the men. Like they were here just as much to see each other and their own friends as they were to be at a cow sale. So the kids are a big part of that.
So for those who maybe haven't been before, it's been a few years, what are some other things that they can do in the area besides the sale?
Like Bear said, is after the futurity and after the sale, like everybody sets up and goes out to dinner. Around Culpeper, there's a lot of cool stuff to see. Downtown, a lot of good restaurants, and then you're only about 45 minutes south of DC. But as Bear said, the fun's at the sale barn. So we want everybody there. But there's moonshine tours, there's restaurants, there's all kinds of historical stuff. So a lot to do throughout the day and on your trip up there.
Yeah, there are a lot of wineries around. It's big wine country. We're about 2 hours from DC. So if you've never been to DC, it's kind of a cool spectacle. I mean, you got to go once to see a lot of the monuments and the White House and everything. The cherry blossoms are actually starting to bloom right now. So it's a pretty good time. Excuse me. And then Gettysburg Battlefield, like there's a lot of historic stuff here. Virginia, there's a lot going back to revolutionary times, pre-revolutionary times. James Madison's property is about 20 minutes, less than that from our ranch. There was a Civil War battle right here on the ranch, right on the edge of the ranch property. Gettysburg, which is an absolutely amazing place. For everybody that lives out west and has been to Alamo, like the Gettysburg will blow the Alamo out of the water. It's completely historical. Yeah, it's completely historical town. Like that, the whole town engulfs it. Engulfs the Civil War aspect of it, and it's pretty cool just to kind of see that hallowed ground. Appomattox up in Maryland, where John and Christine Talley are, they're a couple hours away. So there's a lot of revolutionary and Civil War type of stuff going on in this part of the country too. So,
is there anything else that you want folks to know about the sale or the weekend that we haven't covered?
I'd say this weekend, if you're on the edge of coming, make the trip. It's totally worth it. It's going to be a great time. The sale is going to be online through Hired Hand. We have haulers going back everywhere. So, if you have any animals you're interested in, reach out to Bear or myself, and we can get you videos, photos, and get your animal back to you. That's the biggest thing. And I think people kind of balk at a sale that's 20 hours away, but we got professional haulers and guys who take care of these animals that can get your animals back to you.
Yeah, kind of like what Chase said. We've really kind of opened up the logistics of getting cattle back, and it's been a big deal for us, right? Chase, what's the hauling fee to get a cow back to Texas?
$350.
You're going to spend that on fuel, not counting your time, to run from Texas to Oklahoma and back. And Chase and Dale Metz will both be here with trailers. No hauling back to Texas for that. So that's pretty cheap.
Perfect. Well, thanks for joining us today.
No problem. Thanks for having us.
Thank y'all for having us. We're looking forward to seeing y'all and everybody at the Cherry Blossom.